On January 1st, 2019, professional wrestling fans from all over the globe found out that a new professional wrestling company was going to be started up in the U.S. My oh my, not since the days of World Championship Wrestling and WWF going head-to-head with ECW lurking in the background. This is extreme! Not since those days, not since TNA was basically just a young upstart and went through so many goddamn permutations. Not since those days were we going to see actual goddamn big league competition, because many fans just wanted some spice, some variety. They wanted things to just bubble back up and be half the brand they used to be. Half the brand they used to be. So yeah, All Elite Wrestling was formed, and the question was, well, what was the roster going to look like? What was the show going to look like? Who's going to fund it? Well, in steps in Shad Khan's son, Tony Khan. Who is Shad Khan? Who is Tony Khan? Shad Khan has made a lot of goddamn money, basically, with a bumper patent, and has actually been able to earn billions and billions of dollars. And they bought the Jacksonville Jaguars. They run Fulham FC, whatever the fuck they do. I know they play football across the goddamn pond. But yeah, they made a whole lot of goddamn money, and Shad Khan said, Tony, take some of your inheritance or take something and go do something else. You want to play with your real-life action figures? Go and do it. And then we saw the roster form, and it was basically going to consist of some veterans. It was going to consist of people that hadn't been given a goddamn chance. And it was also going to consist of some people that maybe you could argue really didn't actually, maybe earn that chance because they kind of stumbled right out of the goddamn gate, but they had some really good talent. They had a big league production. They went through the goddamn pandemic, and then they got back to having big crowds. And then they got to where the crowds are starting to goddamn dwindle. But that being said, one thing for certain, when it comes to a professional wrestling company, you're going to have flux when it comes to the roster. You're going to have a goddamn melting pot. You're going to have a mixture. You're going to have so many talents, human centipede together. Going to make matches very difficult. It's going to be the struggle submissive system. It's not just going to be lip service. They've already won me over. They're inside of me, and I don't think this is really going. It's not head over feet. The whole point is AEW has certainly offered a great, a great platform for many to ply their trade. For better or worse, till death do us part, All Elite Wrestling has a piece of wrestling's heart, I swear. But, as far as the roster goes, yeah, currently, as it stands, it is certainly quite the melting pot. Is it a good melting pot? Is it mixed with bullshit? Let's talk about it. I'm John Redland with my real honest thoughts on the Age of Wrestling, AEW Part 1. Yeah, that was a bit of a long intro mixed with some bullshit history and just some fun. But I did a 4-part, deal on WWE, and I decided I'm going to do the AEW side. I'm not going to do the New Japan side, basically for those that either missed the very beginning of the WWE part. This is basically the idea. I wrote down all of the AEW talents. The ones that are in the ring are the ones that could get back in the ring. And basically, I'm going to talk about their ages. I'm going to talk about what they got left. And I'm going to talk about their spot on the card. And there are some people, when I took a look at the All Elite Wrestling roster on AEW.com, I forgot they were still there. And by the way, this does include Ring of Honor, so there we go. That being said, let's get on with the fact that the current world champion as of this recording is, unfortunately, Jon Moxley. Look, Moxley has his fans, just not as many as he used to have. And I don't think he's necessarily a bad guy, but as the world champion, this time, I was at Wrestle Dream 2024. It didn't work. It was a goddamn dumpster fire at the end. Khan will be lucky to draw 4,000 people, maybe 5,000 people for a big show in Washington State if they come back. That being said, Moxley is a big star. It was a big deal when he came over in AEW, and he has fought through injuries. He got out of rehab. Good on him for getting sober. Very tough to do. He seems to be living his best life. The thing is, though, 39, and with the injuries and with the fact that his work right now is fucking shitty. It has been shitty for a while. While I think he can wrestle, a lot of the stuff he's been doing has really been turning off a lot of goddamn fans. The whole point is that Moxley has star power and has the ability to offer stuff, but at 39, he has been there for so goddamn long. He's been there since the very beginning. And you have to wonder if maybe he's getting stale to the AEW brand. That's why it's nice to have people go back and forth between companies and partnerships and everything, and you can keep people fresh. Moxley at 39, I will be surprised if he's wrestling in another 3 years. I know he signed another long-term contract, but if he's wrestling like this at 39, good goddamn Christ, they are in some fucking trouble. They are in a lot of goddamn trouble. So yeah, Moxley is one of their biggest stars, for better or worse, but that star had burned the fuck out. So let's go to age 33, Colton Gunn. I did not realize that Billy Gunn's kids were that old. And I'm going to throw him and Austin Gunn actually in here, because Austin Gunn is actually, he's 30, I believe, and it's just goddamn ridiculous. I mean, let's see, yeah, 30, because I got all these names written down. So Colton's 33 and Austin is 30, and they're a good team. And just the problem is I think the sun is kind of set on them being, seen as anything more than just flunkies and jokesters and everything. I don't write people off just because of their age, but I write them off with how they've been used. And they've been there for a few years. I'm not saying they've gotten, appreciably worse. They've gotten a little bit better, but they plateaued, in my personal opinion. They will always be seen as just guys that are kind of jokesters, and at those ages, and same goes for the Von Erichs. The Von Erichs, I think, are in, the Von Erichs are at least in their mid-30s. Is there really anything else they can do? And by the way, there'll be a mixture of the Ring of Honor stuff here, too. But I'm not going to include everybody from Ring of Honor, because I have better things to do than try to go through that roster. But I'll throw the Von Erichs in here, too, along with the Guns. I think there are teams that they'll be on the roster. The Von Erich name, the Gunn name. Billy Gunn's going to obviously be there for quite a while. Despite the fact that he's 60. He's still one of the most over people they have, because people have long-term memories. Yeah, bless the Guns. They try, but I don't know if time's going to be on their side. So, we have 51, the Adam Copeland. He's doing what he wants to do. He's working with his friends. He was in WWE for a while, came back after 9 years from a neck injury, and did his thing, even through the pandemic and even through injuries. And then I was there for his Wrestle Dream 2023 debut. It was a big goddamn moment. Unfortunately, it was only in front of about 6,000 people, but at least we were loud. He has some time left, but to be perfectly goddamn honest, he's got a year, maybe two. I just really cannot. I mean, I know he's getting paid a lot of money. He's coming off of that leg injury. He still has, his neck is in as good a shape as it's going to be, but he's had neck issues before. He had a neck issue back in 2003 and has still had that since. And then has retirement and has done what he's done. Copeland's a big star, but does he mean that much now? Not necessarily. He's a veteran, but that's really all that he doesn't really matter as far as like anything other than being a big name on the roster. So Isaiah Cassidy and Mark Quinn at 29 and 30, Private Party. And look, they're a good young team. The thing is, they have been there since the beginning. They won the tag titles. We really wanted to see them win the tag titles at Wrestle Dream. In hindsight, they probably should have given us something, because it would have meant a whole lot more there than it meant on TV. But the thing is, once they won the tag titles, now what? They're just there. They're just there to simply be on the goddamn roster. And they get mild reactions. They're AEW originals, but really, do they mean as much as they meant? Even like, do they mean as much as they did in the beginning? Because that stuff with the Hardy office and whatever the hell that was, and the various things they were doing, and I know Mark Quinn was injured for a while. Yeah, some of it just could be injuries and just bad timing, but Private Party, as good as they can be, I think really peaked early. And not saying they cannot be valuable, but as it stands right now, they're AEW originals, and what else? So we get to, at age 34, Danhausen. He's a comedy act. He is what he is. People like him. He hit his ceiling a while ago. I'm glad he's back from his injury. I mean, I know he was on the sidelines for a bit, but I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of his work, but I appreciate that he has his fans. He will never be seen as anything more than what he is, but you know what? He's made a lot of money off merch and stuff like that, so I don't really blame him. But he just is who he is. Number 23, Dante Martin, or age 23 rather, Dante Martin. He is a guy that, even with that leg injury, that horrible leg injury that he had, He's still got spring in his step. He is still young. He is talented. He could probably be a good single star. I don't know if him and Darius will be anything more than they are because they're a good team, but I think Dante is clearly the star of the team. But, Darius is 25. I'll just include him here. They're much like Private Party. I mean, they at times feel a little bit fresher, but it's also how they've been utilized. They are young enough to where you can feature them right and build them up, but I think if they don't break them up and just maybe have Dante try to be a single, or just maybe not break them up, but just have Dante try to be a single for a bit, it just seems like they're spinning their goddamn wheels. Seems like they're grounded, ironically. So, Takeshita. Konosuke Takeshita is probably one of the few people they have that they could really build around. He's 29. He's skilled, even though I don't care for the DDT Pro product. He is one of the few that has come out that has really broken out. And while I wasn't sure how to take him at first, he's good. He had some, good action in the Tokyo Dome. That sounded a lot less dirty in my head. He's one of the people they really should build around. He's one of the people they should prop up like Okada. All due respect to Okada, but Okada does not mean nearly as much as he did, in part because he's both broken down and taking a paycheck and coasting, and I don't blame him for how much he carried New Japan on his back. But Konosuke Takeshita is somebody that absolutely could be one of the pillars for this company. It damn sure won't be another one that I'll talk about here in a bit. But Takeshita is very, very good. Takeshita is one of the few bright spots they have. At age 32, Darby Allin. If Darby is not dead on Mount Everest, he can come back and win the world title, I guess. But the thing is, and I like Darby, I've met him at multiple shows. He will work hard in front of 200 people, 500 people, 20,000. It doesn't matter. He'll take all kinds of stupid bumps. And he'll do all kinds of crazy things. Darby has that weird charisma that people are drawn to, like Jeff Hardy. There are a lot of comparisons there, except Darby's straight edge and understands not to fuck his own damn life up. Isn't that right, Jeff? That being said, like Jeff's going to watch this. If you're a Jeff Hardy fan, you don't like that, well, yeah, you can only make so many mistakes before you have to kind of, own up to them. Darby Allin is a talent, and he is one of the guys, like one of those guys that they just really fucking like, but he's one dumb injury away from being out a year, and he's one dumb action away from being out of life permanently if he ends up trying to go through with this Mount Everest thing. But Darby, as far as a wrestler, he is somebody that could be a main event guy because people really like him. But goddamn it, I mean, he's one of the few that they haven't really totally fucked up with the creative and everything. And he's still young enough if he can stay injury-free, despite the fact that he probably should have been paralyzed multiple times, all the bumps that he takes. I'm glad he wasn't, but still. And age 26, Daniel Garcia. Garcia's good in the ring. I don't get it with him, though. His promos at times are all right. There's realism to him as far as struggles he's had. I don't get it with Garcia. I get it with Garcia more than somebody else here. But Garcia is good, but I think that he's a mid-card level. I think that's all he's ever going to be. If he's ever AEW World Champion, I will be surprised. But Garcia's good, and he's young enough that he's one of the guys they could build around, but I don't know if he's the right guy to build around. So, I already mentioned Darius Martin. Let's talk about, at age 38, Pac. Do less high-flying shit, do more grounded shit, and he looks great. The thing is, he comes and goes and disappears like crazy, and just boo, boo, boo. And I know that's travel and stuff like that, and part of that was the pandemic, and I got that. That I'm just, pushing to the side. But for once travel was all good and everything, and he was able to come back, and he was able to do stuff once they got crowds back, he's just been intermittent. Pac looks great, but he's just a guy that's just there. He's a guy with a name. He had a name before he went to WWE. They kind of just wrecked his name and everything with the bullshit with Enzo and all that. But Pac is good, but realistically, his best years are absolutely behind him, so he's just another guy that Tony's paying. Dax Harwood. I'm going to throw Dax and Cash Wheeler here. FTR. I love FTR. FTR are a great team. They are one of my, favorite tag teams of the modern era. You have Dax there at 40, and you have Cash at 37. Had to look that up. Very good team, but they don't really fucking mean anything anymore. They were super over a couple years ago, and now they just They exist as 2 stars. They can still put on classic matches, but they are so freaking tamped down where they got their last big contract that they're getting, and they're probably going to get paid for another 3 to 4 years. And for all the pain, blues, and agony, and all the bumps they've taken and everything, I don't fault them for that. I don't fault anybody here, by the way, for taking a check from Tony Khan and Tony Khan paying them a lot. And they're saying, oh, you want to pay me a whole bunch of money and, butcher me creatively? I don't care. I'm getting paid the same damn thing if you want to, you money mark. And I'm not Chris Charlton, so he can't do anything about me. But Dax and Cash are a great team. But I think their peak was back, when they feuded with the Bucks and stuff like that. Because I don't think now, they mean much of anything. They barely get a reaction. And let's be honest, injuries and Father Time is undefeated. So I think that by the time Dax is 43 and by the time Cash is 40, they'll be done in the ring and they can go do whatever. Age 44, Claudio Castagnoli. Look, Claudio is a very good talent in the ring. He is also not interesting as far as, any presentation. He's a guy that does impressive shit, but he just exists in the AEW bubble. He still can do great things, despite the fact he's been working for 20 plus years. All that time he spent in WWE, he's done good stuff at times in AEW. But, 44, how many years does he have left? A couple? He's just another guy who's just there. He's just fucking there. Dralistico, I know he has a mask, and he's apparently 32 years old, and he just exists in Rush's group. Whatever. He's another mask guy who can do shit. Wheeler Yuta, 28 years old, and doesn't even look like he hit puberty yet. Look, I don't like Wheeler as a talent. I don't think he's a bad person. He should be sitting with the fans. Because no amount of them trying to push him is going to make him believable. Garcia, at least I sort of get. Yuta, I just don't get. He is not believable. He's like a little flea that won't leave a goddamn dog alone. Or like a tick that you have to cut open and everything. But then the tick somehow manages to just keep coming back and sprouting stupid hair. With a weird, goofy expression on his face. Like he can't change it at all because he doesn't understand how to. Because basically it's like Vincent D'Onofrio, Men in Black. You have to pull it up like this. Is that better? But if you don't do that, then basically his expression is just like this. And no amount of, hey, dumb shit, try changing your expression. I am. Oh. Yeah, you just 28 and good job, Tony. You could have built around good young talent. Instead, you picked Wheeler Yuta. Dustin Rhodes, age 55. What can you say about Dustin? He's doing some of his own wrestling shows. He has his one last ride thing. This is his last year. I do not see Dustin Rhodes wrestling past 2025. He doesn't need to. He has overcome a lot of addiction. He's done all. He's just limping along, literally. It looks like it is very painful for him to walk. He's still a really good talent. He started wrestling in the late 80s and has gone through various struggles, has continued to wrestle, and has come out better on the other side. And he's a good veteran for people to have. He's somebody that people can go to for advice, especially about what to do and what not to do. Does anybody really want to see Dustin Rhodes continue to wrestle, though? I kind of don't. But I get why he's still there, or why he's still in the ring. Okada. 37, and he moves like he's 57 sometimes. I don't blame him. Don't blame him for taking that big check from Tony. He's going to coast. He's going to get, Nakamura-like usage where he's just going to be able to do what he wants. And, Nakamura in WWE, because let's be honest, after 2018, he didn't really do anything. Okada can still be good. He can still be great. Bitch. But that's it. Okada's best days were behind him by the time 2022 happened. So realistically, he has just been coasting since, and can't blame him. Can't blame him for doing this, but he's just a guy that Tony Khan sees as a big star, and he has a name, but I don't think that name is going to carry much weight beyond another match with Kenny. I really don't see him ever turning it up, and Father Time latched onto him like that thing in Kronos. It is not going to let go. So, at age 37, Dutch of the Righteous. I keep forgetting the Righteous actually exist. Nothing against them. I know they're in Ring of Honor. Dutch is a big guy. He can move well, but Him and the Rob Zombie looking guy, Vincent, they're there. They're a team. They just get used. It is what it is. I don't really have anything bad to say. I don't really have anything positive to say, though. Aaron Solo is age 37, and yeah, he's there. He's a guy that could do jobs and make people look better. Not a bad worker. He's just unremarkable as far as any personality. Eddie Kingston is 43. He's going to come back eventually from his broken leg issues. Partly from doing that stupid spot against Gabe Kidd. Eddie really does have that great brawling style and everything. But I have to wonder, just because of age, because of wear and tear, does he have more than 2 years left? He gets good reactions. He got good reactions before he ended up getting injured. He'll get a monster pop when he comes back. And if they utilize him right, and actually just have him do the brawling style, not the chop stuff and everything and all that, and actually just have him brawl and do some good things, they could get a lot of use out of him. But realistically, besides, being a name and being somebody that gets decent reactions, maybe even really great reactions, like as far as his work, it's not going to get any better. And age is really going to catch up with him. And I like Eddie. I think Eddie is very, very good and very useful for this company. But he's been gone so goddamn long. Who knows? He might not be back until 2026. Which would be a shame. But yeah, Eddie at 43, he moves like he's 53. I'm sorry. And I know that he's been his own worst. He came out the other side and stuck with wrestling. I'm so glad he did. But goddamn it. Action Andretti is 26, and I keep forgetting that he's still there. He's teaming with Leo Rush, the child-sized, pint-sized idiot that he is. Action Andretti is not bad in the ring, but unremarkable as far as as far as how he's been used. That's not really his fault. He's just a guy that's there. Beat Chris Jericho, and within weeks, he meant nothing, and ever since then, he's just been floating. He's still young enough to where they could make a concerted effort to actually feature him, but are they going to feature him right? Evil Uno is 37. That's deceptive, because I thought he was at least in his 40s. He runs his own indies in somewhere in Canada, Montreal or something, I don't know, maybe Calgary. I don't think he's bad. I don't think he's a bad guy. I've never really cared for his work or any of the Dark Order stuff, but he's been there for a while, and Khan seems to like him. It's just the Dark Order stuff needed to fade away a lot sooner than it has. But he's still there. Adam Cole is 35. He has 2 years left. And it is sad to watch him wrestle. And I know it's injuries. I'm not knocking him. Sometimes the injury bug grabs hold, latches on with its vice-like teeth. But the thing is Adam Cole is injury prone. He does not mean what he meant, even a couple of years ago. Concussion, ankle injury, all that. Those things are, those aren't preventable. Those things will just happen. The thing is, though, is even taking a look at what Adam Cole was doing, he was already feuded with Orange Cassidy within weeks of debuting. It didn't work. It wasn't good. And unfortunately, he doesn't get much of a pop anymore. Like, the stuff is stale. He's spinning his wheels. He's a star, but you could argue that his peak was even before before the Undisputed Era Kingdom thing broke up in NXT. Because maybe he really was too small to do this. Because it's kind of boring out that it's really hard to see him succeed. But hey, he seems like a nice guy. He's a star that he's living off his star power. Because his work just is not stuff anymore. So, Griff Garrison at age 27. I forgot Griff was still there. I don't think Griff's bad. I thought him and Pillman Jr. were fine. I guess Griff could go the Aaron Solo route and do jobs. Maybe if Griff gets a chance, he could try WWE. I think WWE could try and maybe polish him up. But I think he's just going to exist as a guy in the middle of the card at best. And that's probably even, aiming kind of high. Hangman Page at age 33. He's one of the few that is really, really over with the people. AEW original. Has stayed virtually injury-free, if we're being perfectly honest. He's had time where he's had time off. Some of the Swerve feud was good. Some of it was the Full Gear match. That was dog shit. I will stand by that. I don't really care if anybody gets upset. I was at the WrestleDream 2023 match, and that was really, really good. But Hangman is somebody that at least they have tried recently to really feature better. I didn't like the morose drunk thing. But Hangman is one of the few where, even if as somebody said he's an empty-headed dipshit, that's his opinion and those are his words, not mine. He at least is somebody that is presented mostly like a star. Whether he's ever going to be the elite, talent, if you see what I did there, that's subject to debate. But he is somebody that still gets a good reaction, at least with this current presentation. And 33, there's time left for him. It's not like he's, totally washed up. So, Hologram, I don't know his age. I'm guessing, considering he was Aramis, or Atlantis, or what, Aramis, whatever the hell he was. He started in 2010, which I'm guessing this has to put him at around 33, 35. I mean, I don't know. He's in at least his early 30s, early to mid 30s. And whatever, I saw him against the Meat Mortos, and I wasn't really all that impressed, but he's fine in the ring, but he's just another mask guy. And Khan seems to have already given up on him. He was trying to push him, and then that's it. Is he injured? What happened to him? Hologram is just there. Alex Reynolds at age 37, copy and paste what I said about Evil Uno. He's there. The Dark Order stuff's there. Decent worker, but I just don't care about the Dark Order. And then Hook is 25 years old, and Hook still can contribute. I don't really know if they're doing right by him now because that feud with Chris Jericho was terrible. This stuff with Christian Cage is not very good. I think Hook and Nick Wayne having a match, or at least being part of a tag team match, was fine. But yeah, Hook may just have to go to WWE. I mean, I don't really know what else to do. I mean, he might not want to leave his dad, but at this point, I don't see what else they can do. And they featured him right at first. He was getting squashes. His debut was pretty goddamn good. He has flashes of brilliance and has good offense, but just a lot of it's creative, and some of it is just his character hasn't fucking evolved. He just is still there, and the promos ain't great. And Helico is age 37, and well, I remember when he did that drop kick, on that, hitting that ladder in Lucha Underground, or knocking that person off the ladder in Lucha Underground, and that's about all I remember from Angelico. That and a goofy dance. He's there, and I think he's part of the Spanish broadcast announce team. I don't think he's terrible in the ring, but I mean, as far as the character, it's like, what? He's just there. He's just an AEW original. Jack Perry, AEW original. Jack Perry is 27. And Jack Perry means absolutely fuck all to most people. Now, there are some that like him, and some are even allowed out of their house without adult supervision. He went as far as he could go as a face. This heel run has not really worked all that much because it's more like, we don't want to see you. At least that's the impression I got. When he was at WrestleDream, I'm like, oh boy, he really does not look impressive at all. There are people in the crowd that are in better physical shape than him. And Jack, 27, if you could maybe transplant his personality and just slap him in the face metaphorically and say, God damn it, get your head right. Realize that you don't know everything and we can help you. That might work, but I don't think he's ever going to change his attitude. And if he tries to go to WWE, they're not going to be able to do anything with him except run him out of wrestling. I mean, 27, he's still got years, but it's like his offense, his promos, it's all regressed. It's all shitty. And Jack Perry is one of those where if he wasn't friends with the Elite, he would not mean anything. He's just an unremarkable, bland piece of bread. And Angelo Parker, 40. Okay, he's there. I mean, they're not going to get rid of him, especially since he's the father of Ruby Soho's kid. But, I mean, really, did anybody care what Menard and Parker were doing for the past couple of years? So, Jay Lethal is 39 years old, seemingly has been around since dinosaurs roamed the earth. Good worker, but I honestly have never seen it with him as a world champion elite talent. I think he's very good, but I just have never seen him. I've never seen him in that upper echelon. Again, I mean, 39, I mean, not even his best years are behind him. He's been around, he's been in so many different companies. He was in TNA, he's in Ring of Honor, he made his, super indie appearances. He's been in AEW for a bit. He's Jay Lethal, he's a name, and that's it. Anthony Bowens is 34, and they need to push this motherfucker to the moon. At least to maybe have him take the international title off at the Takeshita. Do something. Wrap up this feud with Caster and have Anthony Bowens go for goddamn broke. Because Anthony Bowens is somebody they could build around. Now, yes, he probably only has another 5 to 6 prime years left, but he's good in the ring. He's athletic. The whole LGBTQ aspect could make him a great beacon for, hey, we can have talents that are really, really good. And look, okay, this is a beacon of hope, just as being a person living as you are. And Bowens also seems like a genuinely good person, so I don't understand why they've taken this long to try to feature him. Age 32, Jay White. God, I keep forgetting that Jay White's part of the roster until he shows up. I made it no secret I was not a fan of Jay White in New Japan, and I stand by that. And I think Jay White is not a main event talent. That's my opinion. I don't think he's awful in the ring. I think he is what he is. He is somebody that has fans. Jim Jones also had fans, and we saw how that worked out. But realistically, he just is who he is. Those that like him, they're going to love him. Those that don't like him are just not going to have their opinions changed by what he is doing in the ring. And his promos, I'm sorry, just are like him yelling constantly and talking about how he's the best. I'm not saying he's not good. I've just never seen him as that main event talent. His stuff in New Japan when he was in main events, and those main events went on forever. And I mean, I'm not even saying all of it was his fault, but it just drained and dragged. It wasn't good. But that's where I'm going to leave it off, actually. And Jay White is somebody that they could utilize. But he's, again, just another name that Tony Khan signed for New Japan. And I actually have a video in the works talking about the New Japan AEW partnership and various other aspects. So anyway, that's where I'm going to leave that off. But yes, these videos, popping up occasionally. I want to thank you guys for checking them out. I really do appreciate you guys loving what I have to say. So yeah, what are your thoughts on the people that I mentioned? What do you think of the AEW roster? Do you think that they have maybe too many people that they don't need? What other people do they need? Are there any ways they can freshen things up? Let me know in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter, Letterboxd, Blue Sky handles in the description. I'm John Renthlan, and I'll see you soon.